Welcome back to the GD Disc Golf Academy. I'm Josh, and today's lesson is about upshots. We're going to talk about what is an upshot, how to do an upshot, and some of the better ways to practice. And then we'll finish by talking about putting, like we always do. Let's begin. Upshots are also known as approach shots, and approach shots are exactly what they sound like. Shots that are used to approach the basket. Another type of approach shot is a scramble. A scramble is when your drive lands off of the fairway and you need a really good second shot in order to not collect a bogey. That's a successful scramble. Approach shots, upshots, scrambles. These are shots that are typically thrown with mid-ranges or putters because you're not going to put as much power into the throw. You need a disc that is capable of flying far with less snap, so you club down to a mid-range or sometimes even a putter, depending on the throw that you're trying to throw. How do you do an upshot? For a backhand, you want to stand with your feet like this, with your lead foot slightly in front of your trailing foot. You want your feet to be at least shoulder width apart. Your shoulders facing the basket, your eyes on the basket. The nose of your disc, you want it to be slightly up in order to make sure that your release keeps that nose slightly up. You want to have your hand above your elbow. Aim with your elbow and follow through. Always follow through. Remember, you're not throwing as hard. If you do use an X step for your approach shot, you're simply using it to turn your hips away from the target. And that's how you do a backhand approach shot. For your forehand approach shot, you want to have your trailing foot ahead of your lead foot, interestingly enough. Pointed at the basket. You're going to draw your elbow around with your hips and snap. You use a mid-range or a putter. Lower speed discs for approach shots. The idea with an approach shot is finesse or touch. You want to be able to carve a disc through the air with precision in order to land near the basket. Near enough near the basket that you have a comfortable putt. A quick word on strategy. Most of the holes that you're going to throw will be a par 3. And if you're looking at a par 3 shot, you want to break it down into 3 shots. A good drive, a good upshot, and a good putt. If your drive can get you within 60 feet or less of the basket, then you have a look at a birdie and you just need a good putt. But if you don't land within 60 feet of the basket or less, you're going to need a good upshot. The goal of an upshot is a drop-in putt. You want your upshot to be so precise and have so much finesse that it lands right near the pin, or at least a distance that you're comfortable putting. Think about the placement of your drive. Where do I want to land that drive so that I can have a good second shot? If I land there, I can rely on a good upshot to put me next to the basket. One of the very best ways to reduce the amount of strokes that you have in a game is to practice. Practice your drives, practice your putts, but also practice your upshots. First, take all your mid-ranges, take all your putters, put them all into a bag and go out to a field. Find a big open field with no obstructions and throw every one of your discs. Learn what discs do what best. You do it out in the field so there's no obstruction. You can see the natural flight of each one of your discs. Also, equally important, you want to get out to your local course and practice your upshots. Get out to a place where you typically land with your drives and practice throwing from there. Practice throwing from off of the fairway. Get up on the tee box, look out and say, man, if I throw and I ended up there, it'd be the worst place to end up. Take your discs over to that place and practice throwing from there. Practice your scrambles. Because you might end up there and you want to be prepared for if you do. So get out to your course and practice your upshots. Learn how to throw around the obstructions. Oh, so pretty. Find a field. Put your disc bag out there. Mark out 150 or 200 feet. Go stand in front of your house. This is how I've been doing it during the quarantine. Upshots are all about finesse. That's why you keep your hand above your elbow when you're throwing. You want to be able to just drop that disc right near the basket. You don't want to zoom that disc past the pin so if it doesn't hit chains it ends up 30 to 60 feet away and you've got another tester putt. No, you want that disc to fly and just drop. Finesse into position. The goal of practicing is to be comfortable in your game. Cool, steady, and even will get you through a game with less strokes than you've had before. I don't know if that's good. If the goal of practicing is to reduce your strokes, you also have to understand that you need a certain level of confidence in yourself. That confidence isn't fake if you've put in the time and the practice necessary to rely on your form, to rely on what you've practiced. It's not fake confidence, it's real confidence. So I'm not telling you to go out there and be confident in yourself. I'm telling you to earn your confidence. Practice your confidence. Take your mid-ranges, take your putters, and get out there and practice. That's how you improve. Learn what works best for you. And you'll only do that through practice. For today's segment on putting, we'll talk about the difference between a spin putt and a push putt. A spin putt, you throw it on a Y and an X axis. For the push putt, you're only picking the Y axis. For the spin putt, you're spinning that disc forward. For the push putt, you're pushing it forward. The spin putt can have more power and can be used for putts like an anhyzer putt that you need to curve around an obstacle. Push putt, the disc goes up and comes down, so it lands near the basket. If you do happen to miss, you usually have a drop in for your next shot. Spin putts, on the other hand, you can accidentally miss and end up much further away from the basket. You could even have a further putt back. Once again, the bottom line with putting is you have to pick the type of putt that you're comfortable with. Heck, you might be more comfortable with a spin putt. Who knows? But the bottom line is you have to be comfortable with your putt. Your mental game is going to get you more putts. So know when to use a push putt, know when to use a spin putt, and go out there and practice both of them until you know which one you feel the most comfortable with. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next lesson. Go throw more discs.